manage multiple conversations on IM. Why not collapse this all into one application? He built the application, and then of course the iPhone came out, and it was time to test it, and clearly it worked. So what's great about Voxer is you can communicate to one person, you can communicate to people in groups, you can share photos, text and location, and that's co-mingled with the voice application. It works on any data network, 2G, 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi. It works across carriers, and it works internationally. So we have up to 200 people, or 200 countries across the globe have used Voxer. And so we felt there was a huge opportunity for us, not just in the consumer space, but in the business space. Think about how many businesses have mission-critical communications that they're dealing with on a daily basis. And the challenges with traditional push-to-talk communication, walkie-talkies, cellular-based push-to-talk is, response is immediate or not at all with those live-only communications. If someone's busy, if they're not listening, if they're talking to someone else, then communication is lost. And also, traditional PTT is interruptive and predicated on availability. So that's why traditional cellular-based push-to-talk has really only penetrated 10% of the cellular market and has kind of constantly been in decline. And it also requires users to monitor multiple channels, which is the problem our founder had. So really, Voxer Business, which is our paid-for application, came to fruition when we had many companies approach us and say, hey, we love your free app. Can you do something for my company? And really that was about creating means of letting them have control and ownership and creating identity for their data. So what we built were two things. Voxer Business Manager, which allows you to upload large numbers of users, or small numbers, depending on how big you are, and create employee accounts that can be either with an email or you can create a username. And then also create user distribution lists like email. So we could, segment by that. See employee messages on a real-time map, so you can use location. Every message is tagged with location, so great for monitoring field workers. And then we also have Voxer for Web, which is our desktop-based version. You can send and receive multiple messages on a browser. You can view multiple conversation threads at once, great for dispatchers. And you can sync all of your messages across all devices. So a message, regardless of where you are, at your desk or in the field, is always saved. And then there are a few other key features, the team chats, which are also, you can see, we can create that instantaneously. You can also create it in-app on the fly. Live interrupt mode, which really does turn your phone into a walkie-talkie. The screen goes dead and you can still have a conversation. The voice will just stream live out of your phone. And extreme notifications, which are just loud, repetitive alerts. And then finally, single sign-on, which is great for large companies who have big employee directories and don't want to have to manually upload all their users. So that's really the key features of Voxer Business. We just launched. It's new. So our results are pretty good, considering we have about 8 Fortune 100 companies in proof of concept currently, and some very large government contracts, which if I told you about, I'd probably have to kill you. But that's us. Any questions? Yeah.
So consider an ideal customer for yourself. What are they using today? Before they, the kind of customer that you think is just right to move to your application.
Right.
What are they doing today, pre-Voxer?
Well, many of them are using cellular-based push-to-talk solutions. Nextel, Verizon, AT&T all have solutions. The challenge is that with those solutions is they kind of bet against the internet. So they are proprietary. You can only use phones on that network. They are limited to certain devices, so they don't work on all smartphone operating systems. And they don't necessarily use data, which makes it difficult to communicate internationally. So for instance, we have an airline that came to us and said, we really like your service because we're struggling with AT&T in one airport and we need to look at other solutions. So for them, it's an easy win. They can have push-to-talk across all their devices and not have to worry about which carrier that people are on in those in those locations. And we've seen that kind of repeat itself time and time again. So really, we feel like against the push-to-talk carriers, we tend to win because of the flexibility of the product. Any other questions?
I'll receive a question.
Is there an indication through the UI of who the message is going out to, and who's available, if somebody's offline, or how do you distinguish who's actually receiving the communications?
Okay, so how do you distinguish who is being communicated to through the messages?
We don't have availability, but what we do have, and we just launched, is read receipts. So you can see if a message has been consumed or not. Typically, we've seen response time because of the notifications and because it's on a smartphone to be relatively fast. I mean, its average response time is about 8 to 10 seconds to any message. And I guess the great thing about Voxer is if they're not available, the message will still be there. So it's always saved in terms of communication. But no, we haven't really gone down the I'm available route yet.
Any other questions? Judges? All right.
Cool.
Thank you, Nicole. Watch out for the table there. All right, please welcome our next presenter, Loannis Verdelis from Fleksy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Loannis Verdelis. I'm founder of Fleksy. And I'm glad we had a mention of keyboards and text input in the keynote as an experience that really sucks on mobile. That's what motivates us every day. So we started Fleksy really to solve that problem and make typing a pleasure rather than a chore on mobile and touchscreen devices. And we've built a technology that lets you basically type on a touchscreen so easily that you don't even have to look at the screen while you're doing it. And since somebody gave a live demo earlier, I'm going to do the same. It's probably the best way to do it. I'm going to type a sentence without looking and make sure I don't sit here. And I've made it speak so you can hear what I'm doing.
Introducing a revolutionary keyboard technology, period.
Thank you. So as you've seen, I did that totally without looking. You know, the use case is not necessarily that I'm going to be looking at the sky and texting, but just like on a laptop, you don't have to stare at the keyboard 100% of your time with 100% of your concentration in order to type a simple message. That's what we're trying to bring to the touchscreen environment across a range of touchscreen devices. And the difference in the approach from all your other autocorrect systems that you probably already use is we looked at autocorrect systems, and what they normally tend to do is they look at the letters or the buttons that you press on the screen, and then they try to figure out which ones you pressed wrong. So if you get your normal iPhone, if you get 80% of your word right, it might be able to correct the other 20%. But the thing is, if I'm typing really fast, then I may get 80% of the word wrong, or indeed every letter wrong. It is very plausible that I do that, and autocorrect systems typically fail in these cases. Instead of looking at the letters, we take advantage of the fact that we have a touchscreen, and we look at your input at a deeper level. We look at where you press on the screen, how you pressed, where you normally press, where others normally press, what's the context of your sentence. We do a deeper analysis of your input such that if you write BDJKP, we understand that what you meant to type is the word hello. And if you look at the keyboard, you will see that that's actually quite close to the word hello. We started 2 years ago peculiarly as an app for iOS, which keyboard technologies hadn't done before. We were an application for blind and visually impaired users to type on an iPhone. Today we have hundreds of thousands of people in this community using Fleksy to type every day. So when I say you can type without looking, I know that's the case. And we started on that platform We started 2 years ago. We launched that 1 year ago on iOS. We've had a lot of recognition. We were Best of App Store last year by Apple, one of the Best of App Store apps, a number of other awards. And really we've spent a lot of the last months getting the technology to be ready to work across different platforms and across different markets, not just the accessibility market. One of the things we have also announced and we're going to be doing later this year is to provide our keyboard as an SDK so that other application developers on the iOS ecosystem can use our text input solution. And with that would be the first time a keyboard company enters the iOS market ever. We've always tried to innovate in different device classes and very excited about wearable technology. If you think typing is broken on a smartphone, imagine how bad it is normally on a smartwatch. We've built our technology to work on smartwatches. I've got demos here if you want to see it, but you can type pretty nicely even on the screen of a watch. And on devices like lip motion and gesture-based systems and three-dimensional systems, which we think will become more popular in the future. And actually we are the first investment made by the Lip Fund, and we've done a lot of work with these guys. So we've tried to make typing easier, not just in terms of the typing experience, but in terms of the user interface as well. We don't require the user to learn anything new. It's QWERTY-based. You type just like you normally do, and we take care of the rest. But we also have a number of gestures that could make typing even easier if you want to learn them, though they're not required. And we had a limit on 5 slides, and I think I'm just on time, so ready for questions.
Does it require any training with the keyboard, or is it come right out of the box and start working?
All right, so do users need to be trained in order to use the keyboard without looking, or is that?
You understand what I'm asking.
I guess I don't.
So this experience that I've just demonstrated is how it comes out of the box. That's why blind people can use it. Of course, over time, it also adjusts to you, and it will get better based on the sentences that you most typically type, the words that you most typically use, and also it tailors to where you press the screen. So for example, I've noticed that in my keyboard map internally, in my mind, V is a bit to the right of where it actually really is on the keyboard. And it will pick this up over time and get better. But being able to type even without looking, so basically orders of magnitude better or more accurate than your current keyboard should be right outside the box before you even train it.
Can you comment on comparison with, say, Braille Touch and Android Talkback?
How does this compare with other similar apps?
No, 2 specific ones. So I had a student do a study last year on smartphone interface for the visually impaired in India, which has the largest such population. And we studied these 2 items. But I didn't know about yours at that time. So I have some specific data as well.
Braille Touch and Android Talkback were the 2. So these focus specifically on the accessibility community. Braille Touch is probably the second most popular after ours on the iOS ecosystem for the accessibility community. We have tried to focus on a technology that is more universal than accessible. So instead of building something that works with Braille, for example, which would be good for the accessibility community, we based it on QWERTY, so the learnings we get from the accessibility community apply globally. Similarly with TalkBack. Which one is faster in terms of word per minute if you're blind specifically? I can tell you we unofficially have the world record with Fleksy, and we're working on an official attempt.
We have a question?
Do you support QWERTY only right now? Do you support AZERTY or other keyboard inputs?
Yeah, right. Very good question. So we support it so long as it's touch type based, whether it's QWERTY, AZERTY, QWERTZ, or anything else, the Greek keyboards, I'm from Greece, it doesn't really matter for the technology. We support the layout that is supported by its language. So for French, it would be AZERTY, for example.
How many apps have you downloaded?
I'm sorry, can you say that loud?
How many downloads?
How many downloads?
On iOS, around 300,000. On Google Play, we are in closed beta with just over 30,000 users, I think 35,000 now, but it's closed beta. It's very much a testing, not launched yet.
We can't take any more questions from the audience at this time. We need to confine this just to our judges. Thank you.